I remember the times where I'd go to the mirror and stare at my stomach and punch myself because of how much I hated myself for being fat. And you've probably been having the same sort of like, damn, bro, I hate having these man boobs. We all do. We never want to be fat. We never wanted to be fat in the first place because being fat pretty much lowers our status in the social hierarchy. And I make this video because in the past few years I've been working on myself and my physique, and I want to tell you that if you work on your fitness in this day and age when we've been fed all this processed junk food and like we're little guinea pigs in a cage being fed these chemicals to alter ourselves. If you resist these things at this age, we will come out victorious when we get into our 20s. When we are teens, this is a time where we need to focus on ourselves and our diets especially. Because nowadays it's so easy to be able to get hooked on these different processed foods and act like it's normal. We have the fat teacher telling us that it's okay to be fat and that everything in moderation is great. Bullcrap. Here is the advice you need if you actually want to go through a fitness transformation that will leave you feeling happy at the end of the day when you look at yourself in the mirror. I remember there was a day where we had a little family event going on in my house, and they brought this big crate of samosas, which, if you don't know, it's pretty much these fried little pieces of dough filled with potato. They're like these little triangles, typical brown people stuff. And each one is probably the size of like a fist. Like, it's a pretty sizable amount of food. My fat ass went ahead and ate 7 of those samosas. The whole gathering sort of watched me as I devoured samosa after samosa, all of this junk food, all the oils. But guess what happened 5 seconds later? I went to my room, my dad's actually yelling at me like, hey bro, get off your fat ass and come to the mirror. And I looked at myself in shame and I looked at myself and I just realized it's my fault. If I want to get out of this rut, I need to work on myself. I looked at myself, and what did I see? These man boobs towering down below my chest. The love handles that had slowly crept their way around my waist, making me look like a woman with that little, hourglass physique where your waist is like far out. I had the build of a woman. And as I look back, I just feel so much pity for myself because from the day we were born, we had been brainwashed with these messages by these weird companies that want us to get hooked to their products. That we need to have everything in moderation and that, oh, you can eat, it's okay to be fat, you should accept yourself. But you know that there's more to this than just fat acceptance. You listen to their advice. You listen to their advice, their little rants about how we should stop having microaggressions against fat people, we should accept ourselves as the way we are. And where has that gotten you? Just tell me. If you look in the mirror, are you proud of the physique that you've built over the past few years of eating the junk food and listening to your emotions and listening to the advice that the masses are being given? No, right? Because you clicked on this video. Because here's the thing. We are the guinea pigs of this massive scheme that's being played so smartly that now all of a sudden 1 in 5 teenagers are overweight. You look at yourself in the mirror and you just hate yourself in the way that you look. Of course you do. You see, society from a young age has poisoned us with these beliefs that we should be listening to our emotions that we eat. That instead of we eating to live, instead of us eating to give ourselves energy, we live so that we get those little crumbs on our tongues. We live to eat. We live so that we get the pleasure from the eating. And where did that get us? Fat, lazy, and hating yourself and your self-image. And this goes even deeper because the average guy is a bitch to his emotions. The average guy pays no attention to the future. And where does that get you? You become fat. You become the kid in the corner who's eating the chips and stealing from the little, and slowly gaining the weight that you so much don't want to be, and slowly gaining the weight on your body that is spread across your legs and your back and your arms. You've been having these weird negative cycles of you eating the food and then getting the guilt from it. Why did I just eat that candy? Oh my god, why did I just eat all that food? This is why you're fat. And this vicious cycle keeps eating away at you because you've actually been looking at it from the wrong perspective, and I'm here to clarify that. Because if I had this advice, I would have lost 10 pounds a while back. We need to start eating to live and not living to eat. These foods were never made for our well-being. If you look at the marketing schemes that these companies are doing, they are paying the grocery stores. If you look into this, they are paying the grocery stores to place their products in the exact eye level of children so that they pick them up. Surely you have to have some sense and realize that, like, this is all a marketing scheme. This is all for their profit. This is not for our health. These candy bars, these chocolates, these sodas, these were not made for our health, but for us to get addicted to their service so that we start paying them more money and we worsen our own health. There are formulas to create the perfect product so that you get addicted to them, so that you get addicted. We teenagers have been completely brainwashed by society to say, like, oh, everything in moderation. Screw that. Not everything in moderation. We need to strive for better. 10,000 years ago, we weren't eating all these crap foods, and guess what? We didn't commit suicide. We didn't have fat on our bodies. We had the energy to keep going throughout the day and strive for our goals. But nowadays, our lives have been engineered by these companies to become as pleasurable as possible so that we sit in our comfort zone. And what happened now? Now we're fat. But at the same time, you need to realize that no matter how many chemicals have been put into these foods, at the end of the day, it is actually your fault. You deserve to be fat. You've been eating all the wrong things. And once you accept this, you actually start realizing, like, wait a minute, the opposite is also true as well. If I start doing the tasks that will get me to the six pack, I will get the six pack. It is in my control to either become the fat guy or become the athletic kid. It is within your grasp to do these great things, but society has brainwashed us to choose the easy path, to choose the pleasure. And because of this, we're fatter than ever. We're lazier than ever. Our grades are worse than ever. And most of all, our self-image is lower than ever. Because when you were fat, because when you're healthy, when you lose the 10 pounds, 15 pounds, because here's the thing that I noticed. When I lost 15 pounds, my self-image went up. Because being fat shapes your identity in such a way where you actually start living like the fat guy subconsciously. You make the jokes about yourself about you being fat. You tolerate when others make the fat jokes at you. Why? Why do we need to accept this? We need to do better when we ourselves know that we need to change. Your self-image goes up when you stop being fat. You will get whatever you want in life. You will get the attention from girls. You will get the highest grades ever. You will get the first place on the soccer team. Only when you prioritize your fitness, your physique. But here's the thing. The reason that you're fat, the reason that you've been so crippled by all these addictions is not because of the junk food. Eating the junk food is actually a symptom of a much bigger problem that we need to address first. And that problem is your mental health. You see, when you were born, you were never consciously thinking, oh, I want to eat all of that pizza. Oh, I'm going to eat all of that candy so that I can stimulate my taste buds. Slowly, as the years have gone by, through social conditioning, through the brainwashed teachers, and through, most importantly, your dopamine levels being fried, all of this new age entertainment, we have become trained so that we crave and give ourselves a pleasure whenever we want it. I want to take a step back and just remind you of a certain topic called dopamine is pretty much what these companies have been exploiting every single day to make you addicted to their product. It is pretty much the motivational chemical. And when you have more of this motivational chemical, suddenly you're motivated to do the big, hard tasks. Suddenly you're able to do the workouts. But these companies are exploiting this motivation and pleasure chemical. When you eat the candy, when you eat the junk food, the dopamine level spikes. But what happens when it spikes? Let's say your dopamine level is right here at your baseline. You eat the junk food and all of a sudden it spikes up here. But then when it recedes down to the baseline after you finish the meal, instead of it being here, it's actually a little bit lower. When you eat the junk food, you get the pleasure right now. You get the little sense on your tongue of those little crumbs of flavor, feeling so good. And your mind is like completely hijacked by the product. But guess what happens 5 minutes later? Guilt, shame, and lower motivation. That's what happens when you eat the junk food. You were here. You ate the junk food to go all the way up here, and now from here, you've lowered yourself down here. When you understand this concept, you realize the actual problem is the fact that you've been looking at this the wrong way. You've been eating all of these foods as a coping mechanism for you pretty much having like depressive like symptoms. Your motivation levels are down. You play the video games because you can't really be bothered to study, and you eat the junk food because you can't really be bothered to actually exercise. That's the plan of all these corporations. To sedate you, to keep you down here, to start lowering your mental health so that you take their product so that you can go back up here. When you eat the junk food, your dopamine level goes down here, so you eat it again so that you get that same high. And slowly but surely, it's just like the video game addict when they just started out. They played for just half an hour a day with the boys, but soon they got hooked, and soon that became the new expected normal for their dopamine levels. So they kept on playing and playing, even when their friends weren't even online. And then slowly but surely it took over their life. That's what happens with junk food as well. You eat the junk food, and sure, it feels good right now. Sure, it feels all like amazing right now because you've just given yourself some little crumbs on your tongue that have made you feel happy. But 30 seconds later, what happens? Pleasure ends, and you're left with the results of your actions. Teenagers are the guinea pigs of this generation. And if you don't step up to this, you will continue to be fat. That you've been mentally programmed by these little skinny neck engineers and their food science laboratories who are making you addicted to their product, if we don't start literally revolting against them and realizing like, wait, we need to be better, we need to be above these products. If you don't do that, you will stay fat and you will stay low social status. You will stay with a low self-esteem that you subconsciously hide with your self-deprecating fat jokes that you make. We need to resist. That's everywhere in the modern day because that's how humans are actually supposed to live. If you want success, that's what you need. You need to resist pleasure and you will not regret it. That's all I have for today. Go down and click the subscribe button so that you get more videos just like this posted to your feed. My name's Adarv. See you soon.